One.
Boom! What up,
Boom,
ladies
there
and
it is.
gents? All right, I lied. I got another show today, and we're going to be talking to the king of debt. What? King of debt? What are you talking about? Let's find out.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. Yeah, it's time for that. By the way, it's a beautiful day in San Diego, so it's time to drop that San Diego heat.
Yeah, all right, all you business pros out there. Before we jump into the show, just a quick reminder to please subscribe on whichever platform it is that you're catching us on today. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, and drop a review. Help other like-minded business owners find value from our awesome guests while we rise up in the podcast rankings. We will sincerely appreciate it. And if you want to be a guest on the show, we'd love to have you on and learn from you as well. Go to www.businessbros.biz/podcast guest to schedule your time slot, and don't forget to follow us on all our social medias at Business Bros Pod. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're so excited and super honored to bring another incredible guest to the Business Bros Pod. At just 27 years old, our guest today has hit milestones that many of us are still chasing. This impressive young business owner has learned how to leverage his business credit to build multiple six-figure companies and travel full-time. He's joining us today out of Cabo San Lucas, by the way. Now he's teaching his niche technique and helping others to do the same. If you are interested in acquiring funds to scale your business and you don't want to go to private investors, you will not want to miss today's episode. Our guest is teaching people how to get 0% loans for tens, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars, which can be used to market, scale, and grow your business. Tune in to learn from the expert or the king of debt in obtaining business credit at rates you would never even think were possible. Joining us today from the Foundational Finances, welcome to the show, Jack McColl!
I feel like that's just a theme right now that's going on in your life. You're in Cabo San Lucas, taking time off of the party scene to come talk to us.
Exactly.
Jack, welcome to the program, man.
What is up, guys? Yo, first of all, that intro was so hype. I was watching that. I'm like, holy cow, I'm on this show right now. I'm so happy to be here, guys.
We're happy to have you on, man.
Exactly. All right, I'm going to start off with this. I ask a lot of entrepreneurs, and I want you to get in the nitty-gritty because most entrepreneurs that are at a level that you're at have a very cop-out answer, but I want to see how you respond. What is your definition of success? How do you, in your own life, define success?
Doing what you want, when you want, with who you want.
Yep. See, I knew everybody goes to that answer, but I want to know specifically in your life, what does that look like for you?
I mean, it's spending a lot of time with my family and people that I have the deepest relationships with in exotic destinations.
Like Cabo San Lucas.
Like Cabo San Lucas. And also, I think, giving back as much as possible, creating a positive change with people that are less fortunate. That's, I think, a massive part of being successful is giving back and helping people that are, essentially, still working their way up, giving them as much help as possible as well.
I love that. All right, let's dive into the king of debt, the material we're here to all talk about, right? And I'm gonna start off with going with the premise here. What we're gonna discuss, ladies and gents, has to do more with business versus personal, okay? Because I can already hear the people that I've talked to, people who are going through their life, and they're like, Dave Ramsey says debt is bad. All debt is bad. Robert Kiyosaki talks about good debt and bad debt. Bad debt is bad. So I want to premise this with first talking about how we're using debt as a business asset, not as a personal piggy bank. So tell me a little bit, Mr. King of Debt, what's going on with why use debt? What kind of tool is it?
Yeah, 100%. I think there's such a massive difference in good debt versus bad debt. So if you're using debt into things that are going to generate you cash flow and appreciate, that is good debt. But if you're using debt into things that depreciate or don't make you any money at all, that's bad debt. So we only teach on how to use debt into things that cash flow and appreciate, which will make you more money. And as you said, there's a big difference between your personal credit and business credit. And it takes quite a bit of time to build that personal credit to allow you to get to the business credit side But if you do it correctly, as you said in the intro, you can get hundreds of thousands of dollars at 0% interest. And just in the last year, I've been approved for over $300,000 in credit limits that I can use to scale multiple different companies at the same time. So quite a bit of cards in just a very short period of time. And so I'm here with you guys to try to share as much free value as possible, so people can walk away from this podcast, which is as many tangible things to take away and start building today.
All right, let's start off at the very, very beginning, right? Let's say I'm talking to a young 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, right? Getting started. The first thing they're always told is you got to build your credit, right? You got to build your credit. Where should they start?
By getting a credit card. So if you don't have any credit whatsoever, I think the best first thing you can do is to get added as an authorized user to someone else's card. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a parent, get added onto their card as an authorized user. And what this does, it adds that credit history from that credit card account onto your personal credit file. And it doesn't give any risk whatsoever to the cardholder. It only helps you out because it adopts that strength. So that's the first step. Once you have a little bit on your credit file, then it's going to be applying for cards. And if you're brand new, you want to start with the more elementary cards like the Chase Freedom Unlimited, the Discover student card, for example. Start low tier, and then every 2 to 3 months, apply for another personal card. But don't go faster than that.
So when you're talking about applying for cards and not going too fast, what are we talking about here? We're talking like one card every couple months. We're talking about 2 cards every couple months. What about increasing my limit? What about using them in particular?
Yeah, great question. So you're not going to want to do more than one personal card every 2 months. You want to do 3 months just to be safe. But in terms of the utilization, so utilization is the amount of debt that you're using on that card. And so the main reason why you want to get to the business credit side as soon as possible, and when I say business credit, I just mean business credit cards. But the business credit cards, they don't report to your personal credit. So you can actually use that money on the business credit cards, and it won't report the utilization and won't negatively affect your score. So utilization is a massive portion of your credit score. So when you have high utilization, it negatively affects your score, but only on the personal side. So when you get the business cards, you can borrow tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, use that money, and it won't affect your score whatsoever.
All right, let's start to pivot here into that whole business side. Now, my understanding on this, when you're talking about separating between personal and business, is always to use an entity of some sort, right? Whether it's going to be an LLC, an S Corp, C Corp, whatever, general partnership, I don't care what it is, whatever entity. Now, when you're talking about moving into that business credit, can you explain what you mean by moving your personal stuff into your business stuff?
Yes. Okay. So when you have an entity, first of all, you're going to want to use an entity that has the most amount of age and revenue on it, because that type of entity is going to get approved for more credit. And when you apply for a business credit card, some of the only things that they're looking at is, one, what's the business type? Is it high risk? Is it low risk? How much is the estimated revenue? What's the current revenue? What's your relationship with that bank already? And what does your personal credit file look like? So that's why it's so important to build that personal credit and also build relationships with the banks that have the best business credit cards, because if you have a good relationship with those banks, when you apply for the business credit cards, they're going to give you so much more money because they trust you. And so things like opening up different bank accounts, like a business checking, opening up personal credit cards, having more money in those accounts for a longer period of time, that's going to build trust with these lenders. So that's a major portion of all this, is having the trust with the lenders. And then they're going to look at your personal credit. And so a couple of things they're looking for is, it's actually much more than just a score. So a lot of people have 1 to 2 cards and they have an 800 score, but it's a very thin file. So you want as much payment history as possible. You want as many accounts open as possible. So when you guys get cards, never close them, because when you close an account, it just deletes the payment history off of your credit file. Mm-hmm. And so you want to open cards and keep them open and have as many payments, on-time payments as possible.
But what about falling into that debt trap, right? What about falling into the having that line of credit, going out and being like, ooh, that's a nice little bag right there, or that's a cool little, sweater that I can grab real quick and pick things up. When you're talking about keeping the activity on the cards, having that payment history, it's super easy to fall into a trap, right? It's super easy to compile that debt and then find yourself in a hole that you can't get out of. So, help me walk through what your strategy is to keep those accounts active, to keep the payment history going so that I can get, increase those limits and increase that history without putting myself in a hole.
Yeah, 100%. Great question. So an easy way to do that, for example, if you have 6 different credit cards, put a subscription on each of those credit cards. So like Netflix, maybe Dropbox, Amazon Prime, things like that. And then turn on your auto pay. And so every month you're going to get 6 on-time payments because you have the 6 cards. So just, don't spend extra to keep them active. Just, spend the money on the normal things you're going to be spending on, and then just turn on auto pay so you never forget a payment.
I love that because those payments, if you miss a payment, it's going to be a nice $35 hit. So you want to make sure you have that auto pay on. All right. So we've acquired a bunch of credit cards, right? We've started to acquire one every 3 months. We've gotten to the point where, a year goes by, I got 4 cards. Another year goes by, I got 8 cards. I've attached a subscription to each of them. I'm starting to get some credit history going. My credit score is doing well. How do I move to that business entity? And then how do I start to increase those limits?
Yeah, another great question. So to increase your limits, a lot of times you just have to ask. Like sometimes they're going to give it to you without asking, but other times you just have to ask. So if you've been spending on the card, you have a great relationship with them, you're paying your payments on time, just give them a call and ask. Say, hey, I'm looking to do renovations in my house and I need a higher limit. So a lot of the banks will actually do a credit line increase with only a soft pull. So the difference is a soft pull doesn't affect your credit whatsoever versus a hard pull gives you a little ding. So a lot of the banks like Bank of America, Capital One, Discover, they'll all do credit line increases with only a soft pull. So just give them a call, and a lot of times they'll give you an increase. And I wouldn't recommend to request anything over a 3x increase. So if you have a $10,000 card at Bank of America, I would call and just ask for them to increase it up to 30K, and that's usually a pretty safe bet.
Oh, and they'll do it too. All right. Well, what banks? Like you mentioned a couple banks right there, but what are your go-to banks that you want to go and it's easier to apply for? They got great leniency maybe in terms the next question I'm going to dive into after that is the interest rates, introductory rates or promos.
Yeah, so my favorite banks by far is Chase Bank and then Amex as well. Amex isn't quite a bank, but Amex has some of the best card products. So I would prioritize with Chase, do your banking at Chase, the Chase personal cards. Also Amex in 3rd place. I would say US Bank, 4th place Bank of America. And when you think about building a relationship with a bank, I only recommend to build a relationship at a bank that has good business credit cards. And so maybe if you're like looking at different credit unions or any local banks in your area, if you're thinking about opening an account there, I would first look and see, do they have good business cards? If they don't have good business cards, I wouldn't recommend opening an account there or a personal card because you're not building a relationship that's moving you towards the business cards. But like Chase, for example, US Bank, they have awesome business cards. And why they're awesome is because they're 0% for anywhere between 12 months and 18 months. So you get that 0% interest for that introductory period. So on the Chase cards, you'll get 12 months of 0% interest money, and on US Bank you get up to 18 months. And so what you want to do in business is use the money on those cards into things that are going to make you an ROI before you owe any interest. And then that's going to give you the flexibility to use your personal savings into long-term investments. So like the stock market, crypto, real estate, use your personal savings for the long-term investments and using the 0% business credit for your business, assuming it's going to make an ROI before that introductory period runs out.
So you're talking about crunching some numbers. You're saying I actually have to do some math here, right? I got to take a look at my credit card and look at the interest rates that are going on. Obviously, anything return on investment wise that's better than 0% is a win. But then you got a lot of credit cards that end up, after that introductory period, go up to 18, 24%, whatever some ridiculous number like that is. What are some strategies to help keep those interest rates low or to utilize those lines of credit at those lower interest rates? Because getting a return on investment at 24% is going to be tough.
Yeah, so after that introductory period, I don't advise leaving a balance basically on a card that has 0% for 12 months. After that 12 months, any money spent, you'll just have to pay every single month. But at that point, if I need a longer 0% period, I'll just apply for a new business card. That's going to give me a new introductory period, so I get more 0% money time.
Whew. And then roll the balance over?
Exactly. So if you can't pay the debt back within that introductory period, you can then get another credit card and balance transfer the debt. But if you just need more 0% money for a different business venture after you pay the debt back, then you can do that as well. So yeah, that's key. I never advise pay that super high 20%, 25% of credit card interest, but take advantage of that introductory period.
I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
At what point do they cut you off? At what point do they just say, nope, you have enough credit cards, you have enough credit, that's it, you're done, no more?
You just have to do it strategically. So like I said, like on the personal side, you only can go so fast. But because the business cards, they don't report to your personal credit, when you go to Amex and get approved for, say, 40K, when you go to Chase on the business side, they can't see what Amex just gave you because that card doesn't report to your personal credit. And then say Chase will give you 40K, that doesn't report to your personal credit. So then you go to Bank of America, they're only looking at your personal credit. So they can't see all the money you're borrowing on the business side.
That makes sense. I mean, that's kind of scary to me because I'll be honest, dude, you named yourself the king of debt. That would freak me out, dude. Like to be branded as the king of debt debt doesn't have a positive connotation to it. We were raised over and over again about you owe nobody you shouldn't owe anybody anything. Maybe borrow money for a house or maybe for a car, but you pay that stuff off as fast as you can. What's life been like as you try to tell people to leverage the bank's money versus leveraging their own money?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all education. I think if people actually walk through the process on how it can be used as a tool, they see the potential. And obviously, anything in business is a risk, but when you have the opportunity to use someone else's money that you can borrow for free instead of your own money, that's when it's a game changer. So using debt is just a tool for success. And the thing about using 0% business credit, even if you can't pay it back in that introductory period, it gives you more options because you can then just get another business card, balance transfer the debt, and it gives you more 0% time. And then, the worst case scenario is the debt goes to collections, and then you can hire a credit repair specialist to actually remove the debt for you in a legal way. Obviously, we're trying to pay the money back. That's, of course, the goal. But when you look at the laws we have set up in the United States, and we have the best credit system in the world by 10x, there's just certain laws that protect consumers, and there's different ways to get debt removed from your credit file if you need.
So let's talk about some of the capital investments that you can make when you have that cash. You've been doing this for a while. You've been building up those lines of credits. You've been utilizing them as best you can. What kind of investments can you, I can't say in general because there's a ton, but what kind of investments have you been using to get that return on investment that you're looking for? Something quick, something within that 12-month period, or maybe within that quarter. I don't know whatever that time frame is for you to get that return on investment that you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I'll list a couple. I got a couple in mind. One on real estate fix and flip projects. I'm invested in a deal right now where I'll loan them X amount of money and they'll hold the money for 6 months and pay me 18% after that 6 month. And so I'll do that twice, which will give me 36% over the year. And I'm paying the bank 0% interest. So I assuming I get that money back, I'm making 36% from loaning my credit into this fix and flip project. And then another thing I'm doing, I have an automated Amazon e-commerce store that just did about $500,000 in revenue last month. And a cost to get a store started like that when I started 8 months ago was $25,000. So I'll use a $25,000 credit card to pay that cost. And then, we scale the store so fast, the net profit has already piled up so high that I've paid that credit card off. And so now the store is making me thousands of dollars a month completely passive just by leveraging credit.
So let's hover on the real estate one because that one's nice and fancy for me, and then we'll go into the Amazon because literally James just today sent me a clip. He's like, look at this automated Amazon. What is it? FBA? What is it called? It's off
Yeah,
the
that
top
was
of my
the
head.
FBA, fulfillment by Amazon.
Fulfillment. That's the word. Fulfillment by Amazon. So, but let's start with the real estate stuff. So what you're describing here is when you said you're getting into real estate on the fix and flip, you're not talking about finding the property. You're not talking about hiring the contractors. You're not talking about going in and doing the work. You're not talking about listing the property. You're not talking about making a profit on the sale. You are talking about being the hard money.
100%. The fund I'm involved in, they do 100% of everything. They just need more cash. They have tons of tons of projects they're working on. They just need the cash to finance it. So, if someone like myself has a credit card with X amount of, limit, I give them that money from that card, and then they'll say they're going to pay me 18% after that 6 months. Do that twice in a year. That's 36% on money that you're borrowing for free.
Dude, I always learned if you're going to be the best thing to be is the bank. And what you're doing is utilizing the bank's funds, the lines of credit, to fund these additional projects. I like that because the risk, let's say that the real estate transaction, the guy doesn't finish or whatever, you can always then foreclose on the property and make sure that you get your money back on the sale of that particular asset. That stuff is written into your contract. But not so much on creating an online store. Had you had any experience on that online side prior to investing in it, or was it like a new thing that you did?
So in terms of this specific business model, which is drop shipping, I was new to drop shipping. I've had different ventures in the past where I was selling products online, e-commerce, but with the whole automated e-commerce opportunity, it was brand new. And I started my Amazon store 8 months ago. The thing with Amazon, it takes a bit to scale. And fortunately, I started 8 months ago. Now it's doing $500,000 in revenue a month. But the margins on Amazon are fairly small. So it's only about 7%. So it's still making money. But when you look at the $500,000, looking at 7%, it's like, oh, that's kind of small margins in the grand scheme of things. Another thing that I just started, I'm actually doing this for other clients as well, is I'm building and managing Walmart automated e-commerce stores. And the thing with Walmart is there is only 50,000 sellers on Walmart versus 8 million on Amazon. So the margins are anywhere between 20 and 35%. So you can scale faster and make more money with less credit.
Oh, talk to me a little bit about that. I'm curious. Like I said, James sent me that link and I was like, okay, this looks very interesting, but I had no idea where to start. So let's assume, you convinced our listenership. They're like, dude, I'm doing that. Actually, I've been doing that for a while. I have this line of credit. I'm scared to use it. This sounds like something that I want to get started in. What's the process like? What's the investment at the beginning? What's the capital like? What's the workload like? I mean, you're obviously chilling in Cabo San Lucas, so it can't be that difficult.
Yeah, I mean, in this business venture, we're trying to make it as passive as possible for our clients. And so it's $25K to start, and there's a profit split. So we do all the work. I have a team of people that find the most profitable products, add the products to the store, does 100% of fulfillment, all customer service, all returns. The only thing a client would need to do is have the credit and then pay off the credit cards every 2 weeks once Walmart pays them out, and then we'll invoice them for our profit split. And that's the only thing they need to do. And so I coach people on how to get approved for these top credit cards with massive limits. And then, they're teed up to start a Walmart store. And then they're just making thousands of dollars of passive income every single month just from having the credit.
And let's talk about those trends here. Like, okay, prior to COVID, things were already booming as far as delivering Amazon packages or delivering Walmart packages, right? But ever since COVID, that had to go crazy. I mean, you started 8 months ago, almost at like the prime time to get started. If I was to start today, am I like too late to the party or what?
Great question. So I think on Amazon, I would advise people do not start stores on Amazon right now. I think it is farly oversaturated with 8 million third-party sellers right now. But when I look at an opportunity like Walmart with less than 50,000 third-party sellers, it is, blue ocean. It is brand new, and they're trying so hard to compete against Amazon, and they're trying to support the sellers as much as possible. So when I look at e-commerce, the automated business model, I'm shifting everything towards Walmart right now. So much more potential.
When was it that you figured out where it kind of hit you one day? You're like, oh shit, I've made it to a certain level. Like when you look at your peers, everything from where you started from. Walk me through, figuring out like, holy shit, this works. I like this. And wow, this is a different type of life that I'm living.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm having that thought this month right now. I think a couple big things for me was learning how to sell information and sell coaching, getting really good at a specific skill, like teaching credit, putting that into a coaching program and selling that, which is, relatively it's semi-passive because I just do the coaching and then, the course kind of sells itself, but understanding how to sell knowledge like that. And, also leveraging credit into an automated e-commerce business where I'm not doing much at all. I just have the credit. So credit has been a game changer in all the business I've been involved with. I've done multiple six-figure businesses. The e-commerce is my first seven-figure business, and now my coaching program is on track to be a seven-figure business as well. And it's all based around credit, because the more you can borrow, the more you can make, because you have more money working for you. So that's been the big thing for me. And once you invest into specific things that give you completely passive income, it just gives you next level freedom. And so I can be in Cabo, I can be in Bali, I can be wherever at in the world and still making money. I make money while I'm sleeping just because I have the credit and I can invest it correctly into different investments.
Man, all right. If we're just getting started, right? You sparked my mind. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. I want to learn more about this. Who are some of the podcasts, the mentors, the books that you've listened to that can kind of get somebody's mindset ready to go to take on that kind of challenge?
Yeah, my favorite podcast is NPR, How I Built This. I've probably listened to at least 80% of those podcasts. It interviews different, very successful entrepreneurs, kind of talks about, the struggles that they had to go through to create such an amazing company. And they have big entrepreneurs on there. So NPR, How I Built This. Also Ed Milet, Max Out, amazing podcast. He features incredible entrepreneurs as well. Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory, same scenario, interviewing extremely successful entrepreneurs. And one entrepreneur I really admire is Jesse Itzler, who is married to Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx. He started Zico, the coconut water private jet company, and another one I can't forget. I'm forgetting right now. But I'm big on podcasts, big on books, and big on coaching programs. I'm in a variety of different coaching programs right now, and I'm such an advocate of paying for knowledge, because if you know someone that has done exactly what you're trying to do, it makes all the sense in the world to pay them to teach you, because you're going to get there so much faster and probably with less mistakes, and going to save you a lot of money as well.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna. Eventually, you were gonna play that one. I saw. I threw it in there. All right, dude, Jack. You're going through coaching. You are starting business. You're building your credit. Like, what? How are you managing your hours in the day? There's only 24 hours, and I talk to so many people that, I don't have time. And yet you find time to be a part of different coaching programs, to listen to different podcasts, to read different books. Like, what is your schedule like, and what are you prioritizing in your schedule?
I normally prioritize the things that, one, I get the most enjoyment from, and two, the things that are focused on sales. And then if there's anything that isn't focused on those two things, I try to hire people to do those tasks. So whether it be like a virtual assistant in the Philippines that I can train to do some of the messaging for me, I'll hire someone, in the States that can do other tasks. But you have to, at first, you have to do everything yourself, learn the process, and then put it into an SOP, standard operating procedure, so you can train someone else on how to do that. But first you have to do it. Then you train someone else so you can focus on growing the business, not working in the business.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying. That's right. All right. Look, everything that you've talked about, very, very interesting stuff. And I know there's people out there that want to get a hold of you. Let our listeners know, how can they get a hold of you? How can they find out more information so that they can get started doing something very similar?
Yeah, anyone can find me on Instagram. It's just handle King of Debt. I have actually a mini course. It's brand new that I'm giving away for free right now that just talks about the fundamentals of building credit, how to get into business credit. It's 10 videos. It's really cool. So if you want to get access to the free course, DM me close friends and we'll get you that access. And then for anyone interested to learn about how to, get started with like a Walmart fully automated e-commerce store, go to my Instagram and DM me income, and I'll show you our landing page that kind of talks about what the business model is and what would the next steps look like.
Sweet. All right, dude. You've been on a couple different podcasts. You listen to a ton of them. How does this show compare to some of the shows that you've seen or been on?
I love it. I mean, it's high energy, it's going back and forth, and it's the two of you guys, which is amazing. So I enjoy this a lot, and I would definitely recommend this to a lot of people.
Sweet, brother. All right, man.
That's cool, baby. I mean, you know how it is.
That's cool, baby.
That's cool, baby. Last question. 2021 is right around the corner, literally like in 2 days. How did 2020 treat you? What do you look forward to in 2021?
2020 was obviously a curveball for most people, but I think the people that saw success were the people that were able to pivot. I had to pivot. I had to learn new things. I had a short-term rental company in Bali, Indonesia that completely flopped because obviously people couldn't travel, lost tens of thousands of dollars. It sucked, but I was able to teach myself new things and pivot to new things and, go hard. So when you have, tough times, you just have to push through and maybe, pivot and, do something else. But 2020, I think number one thing I could recommend to people is build your credit, build a relationship with key lenders, and get access to that low interest capital and start investing into things you believe in.
Boom. All right, man. Well, hey, dude, thanks for taking the time. I mean, this is New Year's Eve week, bro, and you're here on the Business Bros podcast. So and taking time out of the party scene, man, because dude, I'm sure you're having a blast out there. And again, thank you for being on the show and sharing all that valuable information. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, ladies and gents, that is it for today. We do have a guest for the rest of the week. I lied last time. I thought my schedule was clear, but apparently not. So tune in tomorrow. We'll see you guys on another day, last day of the year. That's all we got for you today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
We're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the business bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the insurance bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@seeusfirst.com to schedule a free consultation or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.